Hello, Dianna. How are you?
Hey, I
Yeah,
am killing it. How are you?
good. I'm so glad to hear that. So let's just
Yes,
go ahead and dig right in. First of all, I'm so stoked about everybody who's on here. You have so much love and support in the community. I just
I
love it.
love them. I love them so
Yes.
much.
Yes. So why don't we just dive right in? I love to kind of start. I don't know
Sure.
if you've seen these before, but I really love to start kind of just with you sharing your story, kind of we can go chronological, like what life looked like maybe before Write Your Way to Freedom, where things were when
Sure.
you decided to sign up, and then kind of just bringing us up to the present moment. And I can ask you questions along the way. But yeah,
Word.
love
I
to hear.
love it. I love it. Let's do it. Okay, so little background. My fiance and I had been traveling for a few months before we moved back to the States, and then we had been in Denver prior to the traveling, and then we decided to try the West Coast for a while, and it was pretty like within a few months we were like, this is not the place for us. Like, we miss family, we miss being near friends, and we quit our jobs and signed it like quit our lease, I guess, and like bought it out and like got a truck and headed across the states. And that was actually like in that 2 week time period after we quit our jobs was when COVID got to the states.
Mm.
So it chased us across the West Coast all the way to Vermont, and we landed with we had called people and arranged for jobs to be here, and like we had jobs waiting, and we came out here and COVID shut everything down. So we lost our jobs, our apartment. We ended up staying with his dad, my fiance's dad, for now husband's dad, for like 3 months, trying to figure everything out. And I just decided to take a chance and bought this course that I'd had it like in my saved stuff for like a year. Um,
Yeah, a whole year.
yeah, and like obsessively reading emails. I even emailed you a few times, like,
Uh-huh.
I was like, help me, and I need help. And then I decided to buy it, and like panic bought it. Like I was like, oh my God, and then like ran away for like a week, and then like came back. I was like, okay, I only have a week to like deal with this. If I want to not do this course, I have to figure it out. So panic did that, and then like 3 months later, I got my first client, turned into like a really awesome retainer. She's like one of my closest friends now. We're awesome, and that kind of that was like my big client for a couple months while I like settled into the routine of like doing blogs monthly and stuff. So I had like $1,000 coming in pretty much right away.
Hmm.
And then like she gave me a referral. I started doing more website design and stuff, and stepped back from that pretty quickly. Whew, gotta take a drink.
Yeah.
And then I decided to kind of branch out because I was in like the travel industry, and
Hmm.
I found that a lot of times I didn't want to write about that stuff. I just wanted to go there.
Mm.
Um, so I ended up kind of switching around and doing just small business and like solo biz owners, and um, moved on from that pretty quickly. I actually like did the coaching with you, Sarah, in that
Hmm.
summer, like the summer after I bought the course,
Hmm.
like 1 year and like a couple months later. And you gave me permission to like be myself a little bit more. And I decided to pivot into copywriting for copywriters because I actually started working with Katie Boyce like that
Yes.
March. And I was like, this is like the best partnership I've ever had. I want to work with online entrepreneurs, and I really want to work with copywriters.
Hmm.
And Katie's like basically the shit. And so I was like, this is the kind of partnership I want. So I decided to like kind of base my copy on our partnership, and like ran with that a little bit. I pitched someone like while I was doing the coaching stuff with you.
Hmm.
And 6 months later, she got back to me, because she got back to me like immediately. She's like, oh my God, I loved your pitch. So I'm, I guess, really good at pitches. But
Yeah.
I heard back from her, and she's like, I'm just not ready yet. And she's like, she's scaled her business quite a bit. She's like
Hmm.
well into 6 figures, and like well beyond that actually. And she was like, I am going to be ready for you at some point, just not now. And 6 months later, she got back to me, and now she's like one of my mainstay clients. I don't have a retainer with her. We have an ongoing partnership, and she just comes to me as needed ahead of time, and I mark off like calendar days for her. So
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what that looks like. Do you guys like agree on work? You just agree on work like as needed, things like that?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like instead of doing retainers, I work on an as needed basis. So like if you need monthly blogs, I will give you like 12 blogs,
Mhm.
and we decide on a timeline together, and then I give you 12 blogs, and then when you need more, you come back to me and like get on my books that way. So
Mhm.
it's just like kind of more like bulky.
Uh-huh.
And for like other projects that are like one-off like client support projects, um I do like mostly just, she comes to me with a scope, and this is how I do it with all of my clients.
Mhm.
Now I have like 2 retainer clients. One is completely outsourced and to my mom, and like the other one is Katie Boyce, and we work kind of, it's very very like free form, and like when I'm done with the project in a week or two, I know that she'll contact me and we'll discuss topics and move on. So
Mhm.
it's not like done by a certain date or like expected
Mhm.
for us to have like a rigid timeline, and that's really good for our flow.
Yeah.
So I try to mirror that with all my other clients as well now.
Mhm.
And so the retainer bit, it's like I don't know how much I'm gonna make, but I know about how many projects I can handle, and
Mhm.
that tells me like how, like it gives me the window, you know?
Right. Yeah. So you've really learned, I feel like, in this process, because to do things kind of how you're describing requires some really incredible things that have happened on your part. Also, I have some insights from working with you. But it requires, and I'd love to hear you speak to this or like add clarification or your own ideas, thoughts, or whatever to it, is it requires kind of knowing how to work with your energy, number
Oh my
one.
God.
And also requires really keeping your clients like happy, knowing that they're coming in. And also I think it requires and a more of an abundance mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to like have faith that the work's just going to keep coming in
Yeah.
rather than feeling like you need to lock somebody in on a 6 month like retainer or
Yeah.
something like that.
And that
Love to hear you
that
talk
works
about
for
that.
some people.
Right.
That works for some people, but I just like, I've never been that person because one, I really hate committing to things. I'm like, I'm a runner at heart. Like, please don't like tie me down. I want to go adventure. I want to do my thing. And like, if you tell me that I have a shift next week, I'm gonna be like, do I have a shift next week? And so I am that person that likes a little bit more freedom and a little bit more control. I'm like also a control freak. So like, please don't tell me what to do, and let me decide. And
You
so
were never built for a 9 to 5. Let's
I
just
was never built for a 9 to 5. I was bartending before this, or serving, like depending. And like, frankly, like if they didn't approve my time off, I just quit. So like, I just okay, well, I get, you won't see me here on those shifts. And then they'd be like, oh, okay, we'll work something else. Like, thank you, you know. So I'm like a little bit of a bully about that kind of stuff. But I just like, I'm like really protective of like my time away from the office.
Mhm.
And so like my energy, I have like high energy outside of the office, and I like to like spend it the way I want to.
Mhm.
And like at one point I was working like 12-hour days for no freaking reason other
Mhm.
than my partner worked really long days. And
Yes.
I felt that I was supposed to do that too.
Mm-hmm. Let's
So
talk
like
more about that because this is like one of my favorite parts of your story is
my
when you
mindset stuff
discovered
was
this.
like, I thought that I was so good. Like I was like, ah, my mindset's awesome. Like I meditate and I've got my shit together and all that stuff. And then we talked, and you're like, well, what's your schedule like? And I'm like, well, I get up and I walk the dog, and then like I sit down on my computer like between 7 and 8, and then I like work until like, you know, 8 when my husband's gonna get back. And like you're
So
like,
I look like I'm working because he
yeah, and
works
like
really
sometimes
hard.
like I'd sit there at my computer, but like I wouldn't be doing anything. Like I'd be like checking my email and like running around like virtually, like thinking I was being productive, you know, but like all I was doing was procrastinating and like kind of like badgering myself for not getting things done. And so you were like, let's squish that time. And this was the thing that actually probably has made the biggest difference in my business. You told me to work from 9 to 3 every single day without fail. And like, my productivity went up like 100-fold. I can't even tell you. Like, I thought I couldn't even handle more business, and I was making like $2,000 a month. And then like all of a sudden I was like,
yeah. Yeah.
And it like gave me permission to not only be myself, but like, you know, not work 12-hour days. 6-hour days is just so much better. And like, I felt so guilty about it. And I talked to Frankie about it, and he was like, what are you doing? Absolutely do that. Why do you think I do this job? So that you have to work 10-hour days? Like, no, you know. And he's like always been ridiculously supportive. So like, that gave me a little bit of like kick in the butt to like stop being so stubborn about like hustling, you know. And like,
and
that,
I really like relate to this story because mine looks slightly different, but I also hear this for so many people is like when they make this shift and suddenly they're making like more money in less time. Then they see like their partner maybe like grinding away at like, you know, 40 hours, 50 hours a week. And you kind of feel like bad, or like you have to like show up. And so you show up more time, and then you realize you're kind of just like sitting at your desk, but you're not really getting anything like super productive done. You're just kind of like drawing out all
like my projects, like
color coding things. And then you're
if I was writing 4 blogs now, I would probably do it in 2 days. Whereas like I would take 4 weeks. I would do 1 a week and like fill up that time. Like what was I doing? Like, how did I do that? And the reality is I'd work for an hour and spend an hour on the computer, and then I'd spend an hour working and an hour on the computer doing nothing. Like, it would just, you know, ADD. I'm just like, oh, shiny.
Yeah, totally. I know I'm doing that when I start like color coding things on my calendar. I'm like, all right,
stop.
Sarah, what are you doing? This is not important. But it's so pretty. Okay.
You know, and then you have to make them all the same. Like if you've like changed things up, you have to like coordinate the other colors.
Rest of it. Oh yeah. Then you got to go back to like the previous one to make that match. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Gotta like get it all correct.
Listen, this is why like project management tools and I are not friends, because I can't create more work for myself.
I can't.
Yeah. Anyway,
I have to use Asana with one of my clients, and I'm just like, what is this like nonsense? I don't need to click these buttons.
Yes. So now we just have like created a to-do list of creating a to-do list to like check boxes. I know.
I'm all about to-do lists. Give me all the sticky notes, girl. I'm on top of it.
Well, let's talk about some of your wins, because you've had some really awesome wins that you've kind of touched on.
Sure.
Yeah. Your mom.
Yes. Okay. So this is actually like such a big win for me. My mom and I are like the tightest little duo on the planet. She's like who I am. She is me. I am her. We are the same person. My husband just sometimes like gives me the weirdest look like that. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you're a mom right now. It's creeping me out. So like we share that bond, and she is a novelist. She's written like so many books, and she is working on getting them published, but it's a hard thing to break into. And so she like went back to school when she was in her 50s and like graduated with honors, and she had dropped out of college to raise us kids. And so she like did that and committed her life to us, and then raised 4 of us, and then went back to school. And then, so when I talked to her, I was like, I don't want this to be like an issue, and I don't want to overstep or make you feel like you're not like a good writer when I correct you and all this stuff. So we like set the ground rules really early on. But I wasn't really worried, because I can tell her when she's not doing something right in a very diplomatic way. Just like, that's just not how we do it in copy. In copy, we do it like this. And so our first month or so was like a little rough, but like we just went through it together and partnered up, and like I saw such steady improvement. I gave her a raise 3 months in
Mm-hmm.
because she was like killing it. And I only, instead of an hour editing her work, I spend 10 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
like just polishing it up. So like even with SEO and stuff, like it's just been a godsend. And the client that she writes for was my first client, and she isn't in my current niche. I just keep her around. Um, and so like it freed me up to really focus with my energy where I wanted to. So like it's been very freeing for me and for her because she gets a nice little paycheck and she's like, I'm a paid writer. And she also has started doing it for other businesses in her hometown. So she's like officially like branching out and doing other projects. And I just like kind of consult with her sometimes when she needs help. So
Yes, I love that. I love
yeah,
that. That's amazing. I love stories where people hire their moms. I don't know. It's like one of my favorite things.
it's like I think someday we'll probably start a business together. I mean, that was one of our goals last year, but to be honest, it's just been like kind of a wild ride and we just haven't like made that time happen, but I'm hoping that it will in the future. And um like Frankie has started his copywriting business. So like
Yeah.
we're all just like kind of starting to do that thing. My best friend decided to quit her job and become an artist, and like she bought a wheel to be a ceramicist or a ceramic artist. And I'm pretty sure that all of these things happened because I am doing what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
like it's
Yeah.
just like this
Yeah.
wildfire that started.
Yes. It's a ripple effect that's like super, super powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's so
awesome.
good. I love hearing this, especially because, so often, especially I see it like with women who come into the course initially, like in survival mode, barely like making ends meet, and just I
Yeah, I can't
see
stand
the power of like moving from like that
that.
surviving into thriving. And oftentimes people have like even some guilt or shame around like making more money because they think like, but it's like I see how once people get to that place, they like turn around and help other people. And I don't, that's just like what it is all about, man. Like
Yeah,
be able to support
yes.
people in your life so that they can improve their lives, and ultimately get to a place where we're working with our energy, we're
Yeah.
doing what we love, we're amplifying
Yeah.
deserving voices, writing for clients that we love and believe in what they do.
Yeah. And I
Good
just don't have
example of
time for anything else. Life is short and I got shit to do. And like, I just don't want to look back and be like, why did I do that? I never want to feel that way. I
that.
don't believe in regrets. I don't believe in that. So like, I've never done that, but I know that like, if I got to be 75 years old and like saw my life, I don't want that feeling. So I'm just not about it. And I like refuse to do that anymore.
Yeah,
So I spent my like all my 20s doing shit that I didn't really believe in. So like I'm like past that.
yeah,
Like 30s, man, I'm all about it. Like,
yeah,
yes.
I love it. And so some other wins that you had, because you had shared this with me when we were talking about this interview, was like paying off some debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I found myself like I really had to take the chance because the world was changing around me for COVID. And so like I just like had to make that choice, and it ended up being the best choice in spending money I didn't have for
Mhm,
me.
mhm,
But and everybody's different and I don't always recommend that, but
mhm.
we paid it off. Like Frankie got a decent job and like together we were able to pay off a very expensive wedding that I can't even tell you the number because it's wildly different than the number I had in my head.
Mhm.
Um, about double what we had planned.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of dollars. And we decided like halfway through because we kept checking like our bottom line over and over again. We were like, fuck that. We're just gonna like go
Mhm.
all out and get whatever we want. And oh, we want those plates. Cool. Those are the plates, you
Yes.
know? And so we did that, and I have zero regrets there. Um, the only regret I have of that day is I got stung by a bee, and honestly, it's a great story. So like, not regretting that. Um, and we paid off our debt, like our credit card debt. We got another car, so now we have two cars. We have, paid off our debt, paid off the wedding. We also moved out here with like zero furniture because we had to get rid of everything in Portland. And we had been storing things while we were traveling before Portland, and then storing things at Portland. And it was just a nightmare. So we're like, you know what, screw that too. We're just gonna like start fresh. So like we had nothing. So like now we have all of the furniture that we have. I upped my plants, and I'm like a big plant girl. So like I had expensive plants are expensive. So like got those all back. Got a dog.
We know that's top priority in my world as well. Plant.
1000%.
The essentials.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So how do you love writing for copywriters? That's a very interesting niche. I remember when you first told me about it, I was like, do it.
But also we were like, is this gonna be crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it. I remember loving it. You also had such that will always stand out to me as a story of where you had such a strong intuitive pull that I remember telling myself that I had to trust your intuition, which was like a really interesting experience for me, where I was like, okay, she's experiencing something super strong, and I have to trust that it's like her truth, even though
it was like this moment
kind of
wild of us. Like it was like I grabbed onto you. I was like, Sarah, I don't know if I should, but can I do this? And you were like, you like grabbed my hand and walked down the path, and we're like doing it together, and it was just like this beautiful, like, I don't want to get too corny, but it was just like this beautiful universal moment that like happened with us. And Jenny, I got you, girl. I just like, I don't remember what the question was, but
no, we're just talking about writing for copywriters and how it's
okay. So I actually
go, especially because you hadn't really loved all your other niches. So it's like, I think one of the struggles you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, was like, how do I know that, like, if I haven't really loved any of my other niches and I haven't really found my spot in copywriting, how can I just like confidently show up and be like, well, I'm a copywriter for copywriters, right? Because it feels like you need like a serious level of authority to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. And turns out you don't. You can fake it just like any other like, you can just like pretend. That's what happened, and it's working out really well. But what I was confident in, and this has been like the thing that I pitch more than my abilities, is like my commitment to you. Because like I really don't care if I don't know what I'm doing. What I do care about is giving you something that you're proud of. And so like if I have to rewrite this 10 times, I will. So like that kind of dedication, and like making sure that I'm willing to work with, have systems in place, but have them fit into the systems you already have in place. And if someone else was wanting to do copywriting for copywriters, what I would actually tell you is the best thing that you can do is find the niche that is closest to what you think you want, and pitch copywriters that way. Because what you can do is, when you're ready, you don't have to work with those copywriters anymore, and you can step out into your own a little bit easier. So like, what I originally wanted was to experience the partnership more than the actual writing. And so like
huge,
that, understanding that, like I've started taking on other projects. Like I'm not just a copywriter anymore. Like I'm helping copywriters like create teams and like expand their businesses in ways that make sense to them. And I'm like, I'm their ear, I'm their soundboard, I'm their guide. Like it's like having a best buddy to like have your business with, And so that's what I was wanting. And like I had to listen to that. And so if you're wanting to learn from copywriters, like find someone that you really believe in, pitch them if you want to, but like they deserve a good pitch. So like make sure that you do your due diligence. Like don't just willy-nilly email them and be like, I think you're awesome, I would love the opportunity to work with you. That isn't going to get, like, everyone wants that opportunity. Like tell them why you should do it over anyone else. Like so my pitch is, no one else will have the level of commitment that I will for you. So like
totally. No,
That's your pitch.
I know there's like some jokes going on. Bailey's like, says she's not into commitment, makes commitment the foundation of her business. Girl, I see you. And I'm like, the behavior is on her own terms.
Yes.
You're in charge and you get to hand select your people,
Yes.
and you get to be able to walk away when you don't want it. That is like,
Exactly. I'm very, very, very picky. Like, really. So if
uh,
you haven't gotten a pitch from me, don't worry about it. It's just,
yeah. Well, I'd love to, because I love your emphasis on relationship building, because I think that building strong relationships with your clients is actually like the key to success, which is why I think it's okay. Like if you start with blogs and you're like, I don't really like blogs, but like at least I'm learning, at least I'm earning money while I'm like kind of building this freedom and navigating my own path. But it's so important for everyone to remember that like building strong relationships is like literally where, like, I mean, that's like what my success like is founded on. Like it really is, because when you build strong relationships in this world, people send people to you, people recommend you, and
I have inquiries for like July and I'm like, I didn't even know if I'd have space, like I've got way more lined up in the next few months than I even thought possible. And I'm like supposed to be starting like my own like projects in my own business. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm just gonna keep trying. And it's just like constantly like that. Relationships, it's so, so important. Like Katie Boyce and I do not love vlogs. Vlogs are not my like all consuming love. And I'm okay with that, but I do 4 a month for her. And I will continue to do that because I love the relationship that she and I have built and the one that we built with her client. Her client is the copy itself isn't super exciting. It's not, but I believe in the company and we all together believe in what they stand for. And like that kind of thing, I'm willing to work 4 blogs into my schedule to keep that going, So
I love that.
about it.
I love that. I'd love to hear kind of as we're like, well, actually, somebody had submitted a question and then I'll kind of wrap it up a little bit.
Let's
But
do it. What
the question was kind of, can you kind of explain your pitch, what your pitch looks like, or just even kind of go into your thought process behind writing a really good pitch?
Okay, so for pitches, I've had some pretty awesome ones, which is so funny because I've had some that have been like terrible, terrible failures. But it's so funny because the ones that mean the most to me, I tend to do the best at. So like I usually kind of use that and let them see how like passionate I am about what they do and what we could do together. But that doesn't mean I love that you did XYZ on your website. It's that I can see what a difference you're making to these people's lives because XYZ. Here's a story about when that impacted me or my loved ones. It's going to that deeper place.
Yes.
And allowing that to flow. And like sometimes my pitches are, 100, like 150 words. Like, hey, just throwing this out there, like I can do this and I'd love it if this sounds like something you're interested in, hit me up. It's very, very casual. But the ones that I wanted the most, I actually didn't spend a ton of time actually writing the pitch, but what I did was spent weeks actually listening to all of their podcasts, listening to podcasts that they've recommended, reading all about them wherever I could, especially not on their website. So like subscribing to their email list. Like I spend a lot of time doing that because what happens is sometimes I recognize that they're actually not the person that I want to pitch. Or I find that this is exactly who I thought they were, and they're even better than I imagined, and I have to work with them. So digging into that place and like making sure you're not pitching the people that you don't want to pitch is really huge.
Yeah.
And like telling them straight up why you are going to be better than anyone else. And say that. Like, I'm going to be better than anyone else for you because XYZ, and just like having the balls to say that is like huge because the reality is I have no idea. I have no idea if I would be better than anyone else, but what I can promise you is that I'll try harder,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So,
I love that. And something you're also very good at doing in your writing is writing how you speak. Like
oh yeah.
your writing sounds like you're having a like hilarious conversation with your best bud.
You
Like
should see my texts. They're ridiculous.
I bet they're great. I bet
They're so good.
You don't have to go find some balls. You can also
Laura, you already got balls, girl. You just need to like show them to the world. Which is
that's gonna be the like quote.
Sounded way worse than I
already
meant
have
it to
balls.
be.
You just need to show them to the world.
Okay, let's reel it back. No one get arrested, okay? Because
I'm dying. Oh my gosh.
That was so good. That was so
That would be me to say things like that, you know.
Yeah. It's great. Going on a t-shirt now. Yeah.
Hey, with some merch, I want some royalty on that merch, okay?
Okay, that's cool. We got you.
Good deal.
Oh,
there, we'll put it on the mindset stuff.
Yeah, it'll be added to the affirming.
Can I get that for the free MOSFET? I haven't done that video yet, so
yes.
I need a picture of all of you at the mastermind in the t-shirt to make me feel better.
Okay.
I won't be at the mastermind.
We'll get to work. We'll get to work.
We'll have a virtual.
Well, listen, I kind of want to wrap up with this thought, or also obviously leaving space for if you have anything else to add. And that is, I would love to hear like what you would tell yourself when you were first kind of starting this process, when you were first like signing up for Write Your Way to Freedom, because I know that you were in a very different place. And so what would that conversation look like?
I cannot describe how much I've grown. Like I was still badass, but like I was like much less graceful back then, like lumbering my way around life. I would say that it's okay to do it at your own pace. But don't be afraid to keep moving forward, because every time I moved forward, I had to stop and like not panic, and like it's okay to like, I had to give myself the grace to do that, but I paused more often than I needed, and I paused for longer than I needed. Like I can just keep going. It's okay. I think I'd say something about that.
That's amazing. That's a really good one, because I think it's so easy to see what everybody else is doing and just compare yourself to what you think is going on in their world, right? You don't really know based on one post what the heck is going on in someone's life, or how fast or how slow.
And I was just so scared at every single step that I took. I was just so scared that I'd never hit the goals. And then I like looked up one day, I was like, when I first started, this was my goal, you know, and I haven't like given myself like the pat on the back, because the reality is like, I might make $4,000 that month, but like I still had expenses. And so that wasn't actually where I like how wonderful is like that I thought it would be, you know? And so like, I didn't feel like I deserved the praise, but the reality is like, I was enjoying that. Like, it was okay that I was enjoying where I was at, you know? And like, you don't have to pause here. If this isn't where enough, like keep going. It's okay, you know? So.
And if it's plenty, you can stop. I see that one too, where people are like, they feel some sort of pressure to like move on to like doing full funnel strategy and making 10K a month. And it's like, they're like, but I kind of just like writing blogs. And like, I'm like, that's okay too.
Do
like,
that. Yeah,
it's all good.
Whatever. Everyone is different. And like, I have big goals money wise, but like maybe I don't need a full funnel strategy. Maybe I just need like a couple pieces to make it, you know, maybe I need only 2 pieces of the funnel to make it work, you know, like, I think that everyone goes through things differently, and leveraging what you already have is huge. Like, see what other help your clients need instead of getting new ones, and
yes,
give yourself a little bit more props for where you are.
Yes, seriously. We can all use that. Everybody take a second and like find something that you've grown through, because everyone has grown in this process. So,
Oh,
Dianna,
Emily,
I just
like,
adore you. I love talking with you, and I
I
appreciate
know. Can
your
we just like
energy.
have a powwow, Sarah? Like they don't.
And maybe in like a week and a half. I don't
Yeah,
know.
oh, weird. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll see you. Maybe I'll see you soon.
Weird.
Well, thank you for bringing such wonderful wisdom, energy, advice, and honestly, something that really stood out to me today is how abundant your mindset is. Like the faith you have in the fact that things will work out, I think is one of
Yeah.
your biggest strengths. And I think we can all learn a little bit from that. So thank you.
It will. You just gotta trust the process, man. That slight edge.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yes. And thank you guys for being here. This was hilarious and fun. And I appreciate you all. And
I got you, Lisa.
yes. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.